morning, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. This morning, we're going to share a short message. This is going to be a devotion for today. So I'm so glad that you are here. This week, we are going to start a character study of Ruth. Which, if you don't know, Ruth is a book in the Old Testament, and it happened right after the Judges, or in the time of the Judges. So, if you are ready, grab your Bible, and I'm grabbing mine now, and let's turn our Bibles to Ruth chapter 1. So I'm going to read Ruth chapter 1, it says that now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to dwell in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his two sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, the name of his wife was Naomi, and the names of his two sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they went to the country of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her two sons. Now they took wives of the women of Moab, and the name of the woman of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so the woman survived her two sons and her husband. Now, this is a very sad story because this is a time of the judges where Israel didn't have a king yet. And there's famine in the land. And if you think about even right now, the settings of immigration, right? People migrate from one place to another for all kinds of reasons. And in this case, Naomi and her husband and her two sons migrated from Bethlehem of Judah to go and live in the country of Moab because there was famine. And every time I read this first verse, the question that comes to my mind is, okay, there's famine in their homeland and they are fleeing to find greener pastures somewhere. What else is everybody doing? Like the people in their land and in their home country. When people immigrate, they immigrate for all kinds of reasons. And in this particular story, it was because there was famine in the land and then they left. Now, as we can tell, the story, when they migrated from their home country to the foreign country, then they were met with tragedy. So it's like jumping from frying pan to fire, right? You're leaving your country to go to a foreign country because there is famine in your home country. And then you go to that foreign country and then you are faced with all kinds of things that all the men in her life died. Her husband died, and then her two sons died. And I'm sure that there are many times where Naomi was wondering, why did I even make this decision? And I wanted to ask you, have you ever made a decision, like an initial decision that you thought that, okay, this is a good decision, and then halfway through the journey, you're like, oops, what just happened? Maybe you had a job that you thought was, yeah, not so much of a good job, and so you saw a new job, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to apply for this might be better. And then you move to that new job, and then everything begins to fall apart, and then you find yourself asking yourself, did I even make the right decision? And maybe in your situation, it might not necessarily be a job. It might be even going into a certain kind of relationship. You're going into a relationship for all kinds of reasons. People date for all kinds. Maybe they are lonely, maybe they need financial support, maybe for all kinds of reasons. But then you jump from one state to another, you transition into another state, and then you find out that, oh my goodness, this was a terrible decision. And in this passage that we are talking about, that's exactly what happened. She left with her husband because they're living in a land where there was famine, and then they go to another land where there's no famine there. And the whole goal is like, we need to escape from famine to safety. And it brings me to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, food and basic safety is like at the bottom of the chain. Like, it's like everybody needs that before they can think about becoming something. Like, if you don't have food, how can you aspire to do any other thing? Like, your basic needs have to be met. And so for these people, that's exactly what happened. They thought that they were going to travel to a place where they were going to be more secured, and only to find out that all the men in her life died. And even though the Bible doesn't shed light into exactly what happened to the men, I found it very interesting that she migrated and only the men in her life died. Her husband died, and then thereafter her two sons died, and we don't know exactly what killed the two of them, but I find that very, very interesting. And so in Ruth chapter 1, and if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are doing a character study of Ruth, and Ruth is a book in the Bible. Is like one of the few women who actually have a whole chapter dedicated to just them. And we are looking at the story of this remarkable woman. And the first part that we just read is from verses 1 to 5. It talks about Naomi migrating from Bethlehem to Moab because there was famine in her home country. So she was fleeing with her husband and her two sons to a foreign country just to seek greener pastures. And she traveled, and then the Bible doesn't tell us details about what happened in her life, but what we do know is that when she got to that country, her husband died, and then a few years later her two sons also died. But before those two sons died, they married, each of them married a wife, and so now she is surviving her husband and her two sons, and then she has her two daughters-in-laws. So we are continuing the reading. So now Ruth chapter 1 from verse 6, it says that, so now that her two sons have died, she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had visited the people, giving them bread. So she traveled because there was famine in her land to a foreign country, and now her sons have died, her husband has died, and now she wants to go back to her home country because now there is food in abundance in her home country. And so she has these conversations with her daughters-in-law. She's like, listen, I want to go back because everything I came with I have lost, so I just want to go back. So let's see how the conversation goes. So therefore she went out from the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her daughters-in-laws, go Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each in the house of her husband. So she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, surely we will return with you to your people. But Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there still sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have if I should have a husband tonight and should also bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you restrain yourself from having a husband? No, my daughters, for it grieves me very much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord had gone out against me. Then they lifted up their voices and wept again, and Oprah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And so now this is a very interesting story. It's actually really sad. So Naomi wants to return back to Bethlehem because she has heard that there's now abundance of food there, and her daughters-in-laws want to come with her. And every time I read this passage, I think it's so interesting. The reason it's interesting is because this is a very interesting dynamic between mother and daughter-in-law. Now, oftentimes in our society, we know that there are so many marriages that are struggling because there's a strain between these two women. Like some mothers and have some strain conflicts with their daughters-in-law. And I don't know, just can put it in the chat what you think. What are the things that bring strains in relationship between in-laws? But maybe, I don't know, mothers want to cling on to their sons and they find that their daughters-in-laws are in the way, or wives want to cling on to their husbands and they think their mother-in-laws are in the way. For whatever kind of reason, we do know that it's quite common in our society for there to be tension between mothers-in-laws and daughters-in-laws. But in Ruth chapter 1, we're reading at a very different dynamic. A woman who has lost her two sons, and her daughters-in-laws are like, listen, our husband has died, but we want to stick with you. Like, we want to take care of you. We want to be there for you. And you can tell that the feeling is mutual, because Naomi is like, listen, you ladies are so young. I'm sorry that you have become widows at this age and that my sons have died. If I were to even have children for you to marry them, it would take a long time. I don't want you guys to waste your life. Like, your whole life is ahead of you. Go back, stay in your country and marry and like start a family and just move on. But then the daughters are like, nope, we are coming with you. And it tells a lot. Like, if that mother-in-law was very mean to those daughters-in-law, they would not even want to be with her in her most vulnerable moment. Remember, she has become childless because her two sons have died. And she has also become a widow. So she has lost all her children and she has lost her husband. Talk about a shift in identity. Maybe some of the identity that we carry is like, okay, you're a wife, you're a mother, or you're a father, you are this, you are this. But in Naomi's case, she has lost all those identities. And she was in her lowest point. And yet these two ladies are like, listen, your sons are not here to take care of you, but we will take care of you. We will care for you. It doesn't matter if it changes the course of our life, but we want to care for you. And I just want to stop and pause and reflect on the kind of qualities that will make somebody be so loyal to a foreigner. Mind you, they are not the same people, different cultures, different languages. Everything is different. Like, everything is different. Like, she's an immigrant. She doesn't speak the same language as the Moabite. She has come into a different culture. And now two Moabite women want to go back to Judah with her. They also want to immigrate. And you're like, what's going on? These women don't share anything in common except maybe grief, right? They both lost the men in their lives. But then they loved each other so much that they wanted to stick with Naomi. And friend, I want us to just pause and just look in our own lives, just our own lives. Like, are we quick to leave people in their most vulnerable place? Sometimes, when everything is going for you, people want to hang out with you. But then when everything is not going well with you, people can just leave you. But Naomi and Ruth and Oprah, these women, they just wanted to stick together and support Naomi. I pray that you be that kind of person for somebody, not leaving them when they're in their most vulnerable state, like not abandoning them. These women had every reason. They could have complained, they could have whined because they were young widows talking to an older widow. But then they were just there. They're like, listen, we want to take care of you. And we're living in a society where everybody cares so much about themselves than anybody else. But I pray that you are able to. Oh yes, Selena says, yeah. And sometimes we have become so self-centered that it's all about us. But these women, they committed their lives and they wanted to take care of this widow. And I know that we are living at a time where everybody is just moving and people are just busy. People are just busy. But if you can take time to see somebody, to recognize somebody, to see somebody that is hurting, because really that's why we are here. If you think about the concept of love is meaningless if there is no hate. Like, the only way we know you love somebody is like, it's easy for you to love people who love you. But people who don't have anything to give you back, loving them is hard. But that's the level that God is calling us. It's easy to be surrounded by people when you have abundance to give to them. But it's rare to find people who will stick with you when you have nothing. But that is the place that we really need to get to. Like, sticking to the people who can pay us back, giving to those who cannot pay us back, being there. Sometimes it's not even giving money, it's just the presence. And in this particular case, these women, they wanted to give comfort. Their presence brought comfort to Naomi, and they really were like, listen, you are old, your husband has died, your children have died, we want to be there and support you. And you could just tell from there, you can know Naomi's character, because she says, listen, I am old, but you guys are young. And I appreciate the fact that you want to take care of me. But I also want to take care of you guys. I want you guys to move on with your life. I want you guys to marry, have children, live your full life. And so you can see that the love is mutual. She's not selfish, self-centered, to say that, oh yeah, yes, true, I am a widow, I could use your help, even though you guys are widows, so let your life be standstill and come serve me. She's like, nope, I want you guys to also move on just as much as I'm moving on. And it's just really sharing the care and the compassion for each other. So today, I hope that when you go out, whether you're driving to work right now, or you're at work right now, or you are at home, or you're just sort of hanging around YouTube, I want you to pause today and think about somebody outside of you. Maybe you can just pick up the phone and call somebody and say, listen, I'm thinking about you, I'm praying for you, or how can I help you in this difficult time? And just let me know how things go, because you might be surprised. Somebody might be going through something very hard, and that text message, that phone call might make so much of a difference. I pray that your Tuesday is blessed and that you find rest in the Lord. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to subscribe. I will be here to bring devotions, tips for life, and really we can do life together. God bless you.